Captain Lisa Morgan stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station, watching the massive alien ships approach Earth. The ships were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like floating crystals that sparkled in the sunlight. Lisa had never seen anything like them before. 3 months ago, nobody on Earth knew that aliens existed. Then the first message came from space. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. They said they came in peace to welcome Earth into their family of worlds. At first, everyone was excited. Humans were not alone in the universe. But Lisa felt something was wrong. She was a military officer and had learned to trust her instincts. The alien messages were too perfect and too polite. Real diplomats always argued about small details. These aliens agreed to everything too quickly. Dr. Maya Rodriguez walked onto the bridge carrying her computer tablet. Maya was Earth's best expert on alien languages. She had been working day and night to understand the alien communications. Her face looked worried and tired. "Lisa, I found something in their transmissions," Maya said quietly. "They think we cannot understand their private messages to each other. But I broke their code yesterday." Lisa turned away from the window. "What did you find?" Maya showed her the tablet screen. "They call us a primitive species. They say we will submit easily like all the others." "Lisa, they have done this before to many worlds." Before Lisa could respond, a new voice filled the bridge. It came from the communication system. The voice was female and spoke perfect English, but with a musical quality that sounded otherworldly. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Zarath of the Etherian Dominion. I speak for the Galactic Council. We request permission to land and meet with your leaders." Lisa pressed the communication button. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan of Earth Defense. You have permission to land at the designated coordinates. We welcome you to Earth." Ambassador Zarath was the most beautiful being Lisa had ever seen. She looked like a human woman, but taller and more graceful. Her skin had a slight silver glow, and her eyes were the color of deep purple gemstones. Her ears were pointed like the elves in old human stories. She wore flowing robes that seemed to move like water. Behind Zarath walked another alien who looked very different. Commander Kira Veltar had green, scaly skin and yellow eyes like a reptile. She moved like a soldier and carried weapons on her belt. Kira watched the humans with suspicion and never smiled. The meeting took place in the United Nations building in New York. World leaders from every country came to hear what the aliens had to say. Lisa and Maya sat in the back of the room but listened carefully to every word. Zarath stood at the front of the room and began to speak. Her voice was calm and friendly, but Lisa noticed that her words carried a hidden threat. "People of Earth, the galaxy is a dangerous place. Many evil species want to destroy peaceful worlds like yours. The Galactic Council exists to protect innocent civilizations from these threats. We have maintained peace in our sector for over 1,000 years." The human leaders nodded and seemed impressed. The President of the United States asked, "What do you need from us, Ambassador?" Zarath smiled, but Lisa saw that the smile did not reach her eyes. "We need you to join our council and follow our laws. This will ensure your protection. In return, we will share some of our technology and knowledge with your people." "What if we choose not to join?" asked the Prime Minister of Britain. "Commander." Kira stepped forward. Her voice was harsh and cold. "That would be most unfortunate. Species that refuse our protection often face terrible fates. Pirates and raiders destroy their worlds. We cannot help those who will not help themselves." Lisa felt her anger rising. This was not a request. It was a threat disguised as an offer. She looked at Maya, who was typing quickly on her tablet. Maya had been recording and analyzing everything the aliens said. After the meeting ended, Lisa and Maya met privately in a secure room. Maya showed Lisa more decoded alien messages she had intercepted. "Lisa, look at this. They have a standard procedure they call pacification protocol. They have used it on 47 worlds in the last 500 years. First, they make the same offer they made to us. If the species refuses, they destroy the military forces. Then, they take control of the government and rule through puppet leaders." Lisa studied the files on Maya's tablet. The alien records showed world after world that had fallen to the Council. Some had fought back, but all had eventually surrendered. The Council had overwhelming military power and advanced technology. Maya, we need to tell the world leaders about this immediately. But when they tried to share their discovery, most leaders did not want to listen. The aliens offered amazing technology and protection from unknown threats. Many humans thought this was the greatest opportunity in human history. Only a few military officers and scientists believed Lisa and Maya's warnings. They began to prepare in secret for what they knew was coming. If Earth refused to submit, the aliens would try to force them. 3 days later, the human leaders gave their answer to the Galactic Council. The president stood before the assembled aliens and delivered the message that would change everything. Ambassador Zarath, we thank you for your offer. But humanity has always chosen freedom over security. We will not submit to alien rule. Earth will remain independent. Zarath's beautiful face showed surprise and something that might have been respect. She had never seen a species refuse the Council's offer so directly. Commander Kira's reaction was very different. Her yellow eyes filled with anger, and her hand moved toward her weapon. You are making a terrible mistake, Kira said. No species has ever successfully resisted the Council. We will give you one more chance to reconsider. The president shook his head. Our answer is final. As the aliens prepared to leave Earth, Zarath looked back at the human leaders. For the first time in her long life serving the Council, she wondered if they were doing the right thing. These humans seemed different from other species she had encountered. They showed no fear even when facing impossible odds. That night, as alien ships gathered in Earth's orbit, Lisa Morgan stood again on her bridge, preparing for war. She knew humanity was about to face its greatest test. But she also knew that humans had never been good at giving up without a fight. Admiral Kate Sullivan received the emergency alert at 3 in the morning. The alien ships had moved into attack formation around Earth. She rushed to the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, where Earth's military leaders were gathering for the fight of their lives. Status report, Kate demanded as she entered the war room. 42 alien vessels in high orbit, reported Colonel Sandra Hayes. They're charging their weapons and demanding our immediate surrender. Kate looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet. Each ship was massive, easily 10 times larger than Earth's biggest spacecraft. The aliens had technology that humans could barely understand, but Kate had spent her entire career preparing for impossible battles. Activate Operation Hidden Shield, Kate ordered. For 20 years, Earth's governments had secretly prepared for this day. They knew that eventually humanity might face a threat from space. Hidden deep underground and in remote locations around the world were weapons and defenses that no alien scout could have detected. Lieutenant Grace Parker sat in the cockpit of her starfighter in a concealed hangar beneath the Nevada desert. Grace was 25 years old and the best pilot in Earth's secret Space Force. Around her, 50 other pilots prepared for a mission they had trained for but hoped would never come. Gold Squadron, this is Control, came the voice in Grace's headset. You are cleared for launch. Remember your training and make humanity proud. Grace's ship shot through the hidden tunnel that led to the surface. Within seconds, she was flying through Earth's atmosphere towards space. Her fighter was small and fast, built using the best human engineering. The aliens would not expect such advanced ships from what they considered a primitive world. On the command ship of the alien fleet, Commander Kira Veltar studied the readings from her sensors. Ambassador, the humans show no signs of surrender. Their leaders have gone silent. Zarath stood beside Kira looking down at the beautiful blue and green world below. She had watched this same scene play out dozens of times before. First, the Kai. Aliens would demand surrender. When that failed, they would demonstrate their power by destroying military targets. Most species submitted after seeing a few of their cities turn to ash. Begin the pacification protocol, Kira ordered her weapons officers. Target their largest military installations. Show them what resistance costs. The alien weapons fired, beams of pure energy toward Earth. The beams were designed to punch through any known defense and vaporize their targets. Kira expected to see massive explosions as human military bases disappeared. Instead, the energy beams struck invisible barriers around the Earth and scattered harmlessly into space. Every military base and city on the planet was protected by energy shields that should not have existed. Impossible, Kira whispered. How do they have shield technology? Her answer came in the form of 30 human starfighters that appeared from nowhere. Grace Parker led the attack, diving toward the alien ships at speeds that should have killed any pilot. The human fighters moved in patterns that confused the alien targeting computers. "All ships, fire at will," Grace commanded her squadron over the radio. The human weapons were different from anything in the alien database. Instead of energy beams, they fired streams of projectiles that moved faster than light. The alien shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter traveling at impossible speeds. Grace's first shots punched through the shields of an alien cruiser and tore holes in its hull. Atmosphere vented into space as the alien ship tried to retreat. Other human fighters followed her example, dancing around the much larger alien vessels and striking where their defenses were weakest. Admiral Kate watched the battle from her command center with growing hope. The secret projects had worked better than anyone dared to dream. But she knew this was just the beginning. "Launch the second wave," she ordered. "Deploy the orbital defense platforms." Around Earth, massive weapons platforms that had been hidden in asteroid disguises came online. They had been placed in space over the past 5 years using secret missions that the public thought were scientific expeditions. Now they revealed their true purpose. Commander Kira found herself fighting a battle she did not understand. The humans had military technology that rivaled the Council's own capabilities. Worse, they seemed to know exactly how to exploit weaknesses in alien ship designs. "How is this possible?" she demanded of her tactical officer. "Our intelligence said they had barely achieved faster-than-light travel." The tactical officer studied his readouts with confusion. "Commander, their weapons appear to be based on our own technology, but modified in ways we never considered." What Kira did not know was that Earth had not been as isolated as the aliens believed. For the past 10 years, a defector from the Council had been living secretly on Earth. Her name was Lyrian, and she belonged to a species called the Hive Coalition. Lyrian looked like a cross between a human and an insect. She had 4 arms, large compound eyes, and skin that shimmered with an oily rainbow pattern. Her people had been conquered by the Council centuries ago and forced to serve as technicians and engineers. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had discovered Lyrian's crashed ship in the Amazon rainforest 5 years earlier. Instead of reporting the find to the world governments, Maya had helped Lyrian hide while learning everything she could about alien technology. "The Council's ships have a fatal weakness," Lyrian had explained to Maya and Lisa during their secret meetings. "Their power systems are centralized. If you can overload the main reactor, the entire ship becomes helpless." Using Lyrian's knowledge, human engineers had designed weapons specifically to exploit this weakness. Grace Parker's fighters carried special missiles that could penetrate alien hulls and deliver electromagnetic pulses directly to their power cores. The battle turned quickly in humanity's favor. Within 2 hours, half the alien fleet was disabled or destroyed. The remaining ships found themselves surrounded by human forces that seemed to appear from empty space. "Commander Kira," came an urgent voice from her communications officer. "We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Captain Lisa Morgan's face appeared on the alien command screen. She was broadcasting from her defense station, and her expression was calm but determined. "Alien fleet, this is Captain Morgan of Earth Defense. Your attack has failed. You will withdraw from Earth space immediately or face total destruction." Kira's reptilian features twisted with rage. "You dare threaten the Galactic Council? We have 1,000 ships. We will return and turn your world to glass." Lisa's response surprised everyone, including Ambassador Zarath. "Commander, you had 42 ships and thought that was enough to defeat us. We disabled half your fleet with 30 fighters. How many ships do you think you'll need to try again?" For the first time in her military career, Kira felt something she had never experienced before: doubt. The humans had fought unlike any species in Council records. They used strategies that seemed impossible and technology that should not exist. Ambassador Zarath stepped forward on the screen. "Captain Morgan, the Council will not accept this defeat. They will send more ships." Lisa nodded. "Then we'll be ready for them too." "But Ambassador, I want you to think about something. Your Council claims to bring peace to the galaxy, but the only reason you're here is because we refuse to submit to your rule. What kind of peace requires the threat of destruction?" As the surviving alien ships limped away from Earth, Zarath found herself unable to answer Lisa's question. For the first time in her long life, she wondered if the council she served had lost its way. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than the council could contain it. For the first time in 500 years, a species had not only refused to submit, but had actually defeated a council fleet in battle. On dozens of worlds, enslaved populations whispered the name of the small blue planet that had achieved the impossible. Professor Helen Chang worked frantically in her laboratory deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The underwater research facility had been built in secret with help from an unexpected ally. 3 weeks after the battle, Earth had received its first message from another species that opposed the Council. The message came from Naya, a representative of the aquatic collective. Naya's people lived in the oceans of 12 different worlds. They had been forced to serve the Council for over 2 centuries, providing underwater bases and resources for the alien military. When Naya first made contact with Earth, she appeared on Helen's underwater screens like something from a beautiful dream. She had the basic shape of a human woman, but with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly. Instead of hair, flowing fins crowned her head, and her large dark eyes could see perfectly in the deepest ocean trenches. "Professor Chang," Naya's voice bubbled through the water-filled communication chamber. "My people offer alliance with yours. We have watched the Council destroy too many worlds. Earth has shown us that resistance is possible." Helen studied the alien technology that Naya's people had provided. The aquatic collective had developed incredible underwater cities and transportation systems. More importantly, they controlled hidden bases throughout Council space that could serve as staging areas for human operations. "This stealth technology is amazing," Helen told Captain Lisa Morgan during their weekly strategy meeting. "With Naya's help, we can move ships across the galaxy without the Council detecting them." Lisa nodded as she reviewed the intelligence reports. Earth was no longer fighting alone. Over the past month, 6 different species had made secret contact with humanity. All of them had been conquered by the Council and forced to serve as slaves or puppet governments. The most important contact had come from Ambassador Zarath herself. 2 weeks after the battle, she had sent a private message to Earth requesting a secret meeting. Lisa had been suspicious at first, but Maya Rodriguez convinced her that Zarath's defection could be genuine. They met on a small asteroid in neutral space between Earth and the Council's border. Zarath arrived alone in a small scout ship, having abandoned her position with the Council fleet. "Captain Morgan," Zarath said as they stood in the pressurized meeting room built into the asteroid, "I have served the Council for over 300 years. I believed we were bringing peace and order to the galaxy." Lisa studied the alien woman's face carefully. Zarath's purple eyes showed pain and confusion that seemed genuine. "What changed your mind?" "Your people did," Zarath replied. "In all my years of service, no species has ever questioned our methods the way humans have. You asked what kind of peace requires the threat of destruction. I realized I could not answer that question." Zarath opened a data storage device and placed it on the table between them. "This contains the complete military codes and fleet positions for the entire Council Navy. I also have information about other species that might join your cause." The intelligence that Zarath provided changed everything. Earth learned that the Council controlled over 200 worlds, but many of their subject species were ready to rebel if they believed victory was possible. The Council's power was built on fear and the belief that resistance was hopeless. General Rose Martinez led the first joint human-alien military operation. Rose was a tough woman who had spent 20 years in Special Forces operations. She had volunteered to work with alien allies despite having no experience with non-human soldiers. The mission took place on a mining world called Kepler 442b. The planet's inhabitants looked like tall, thin humans with gray skin and large black eyes. They had been enslaved by the Council for 50 years and forced to mine rare metals used in alien technology. Rose worked with a team that included Grace Parker, now promoted to squadron leader, and 3 alien specialists. One was Lyrian, the insectoid defector who had helped Earth prepare for the first battle. The second was a warrior from Naya's people who could fight both underwater and on land. The third was a former Council soldier who had deserted after learning about his government's true nature. "Remember," Rose told her mixed team as they prepared to infiltrate the mining facility. "We're not here to conquer. We're here to liberate. The miners need to see that freedom is possible." The operation was a complete success. The small council garrison was overwhelmed by the coordinated attack from multiple species working together. More importantly, the enslaved miners rose up to join the fight once they realized help had arrived. Within hours, Kepler 442b declared its independence from the council. The planet's new government immediately offered to join the growing alliance with Earth. Their mining facilities would provide materials needed to build ships and weapons for the rebellion. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had been promoted to head of the new Galactic Relations Department. She worked with Zarath and representatives from 8 different rebel species to coordinate their activities. Maya had learned to speak 12 alien languages and served as the primary translator for alliance meetings. "The Council is mobilizing a much larger fleet," Zarath reported during one of their strategy sessions. "They plan to make an example of Earth that will discourage other worlds from rebelling." Maya looked at the intelligence reports showing over 300 council ships gathering for a massive assault. "How long do we have?" 6 months at most, Zarath replied. "But Captain, there is something else you should know. The council leadership is divided. Some members want to negotiate with Earth rather than risk a full galactic war." This news gave Maya hope. If the council could be split, the rebellion might have a chance to succeed without destroying half the galaxy in the process. Meanwhile, Admiral Kate Sullivan coordinated the construction of humanity's first deep space fleet. Using technology provided by their alien allies and improvements developed by Professor Chang's research team, Earth was building ships unlike anything in council records. The new vessels combined the best features from multiple species. They had human innovation and adaptability, aquatic collective stealth systems, Zarath's people's energy weapons, and defensive improvements suggested by Lyrian's engineering knowledge. Captain Amy Thompson was chosen to command the first of these hybrid vessels. Amy was young for such responsibility, only 32 years old, but she had proven herself as a brilliant tactical thinker during the liberation of 3 more worlds. The Council has never faced a truly united opposition, Amy explained to her mixed human and alien crew as they prepared for their first deep space mission. "They're used to fighting one species at a time. We're going to show them what happens when the galaxy decides to fight back together." As Earth prepared for the coming war, Lisa Morgan often stood on her bridge looking out at the stars. 6 months. Ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Now they led an alliance of dozens of worlds working together for freedom. The Council's next attack would be massive and devastating, but Lisa knew that Earth and its allies were ready. They had something the Council had forgotten existed: hope for a better future. The war that followed changed the galaxy forever. Captain Amy Thompson stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance as it jumped through hyperspace toward the Council's military stronghold at Proxima Station. Behind her flew a fleet unlike anything the universe had ever seen, ships from 27 different worlds working together as one force. The rebellion had grown far beyond what anyone expected. Word of Earth's victories had inspired enslaved populations across the galaxy to rise up against their council oppressors. What started as one planet's refusal to submit had become a full-scale revolution spanning hundreds of star systems. "Jump. Complete, Captain," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the navigation station. "Proxima Station is dead ahead." Amy studied the massive council fortress on her main screen. Proxima Station was supposed to be impregnable, a symbol of council power that had never been successfully attacked. It controlled hyperspace routes for an entire sector and served as headquarters for the council's 4th fleet. "All ships. This is Defiance," Amy broadcast to her mixed fleet. "Remember the plan. We hit fast, disable their communications, and get out before reinforcements arrive." The attack began with ships from Naya's aquatic collective rising from the planet's hidden ocean bases. The Council had never suspected that the water worlds they used for recreation and resources harbored secret military facilities. Aquatic fighters swarmed the station's lower levels while human and alien vessels struck from above. Grace Parker led her squadron of modified human fighters in a daring assault on the station's main communication array. Grace had become one of the rebellion's most famous pilots, known throughout the galaxy for her impossible flying maneuvers and her ability to inspire mixed-species flight teams. "Gold Squadron, follow my lead," Grace transmitted as she dove toward the heavily defended target. Virulin, we need those defensive turrets disabled now. Virulin was the rebellion's secret weapon, a member of a species with powerful psychic abilities. She looked humanoid but with pale silver skin and eyes that glowed with inner light. The Council had tried to exterminate her people centuries ago, but a few survivors had hidden in remote star systems waiting for a chance at revenge. I can feel their targeting systems, Virulin replied from her fighter. Disrupting now. The Council's defensive weapons suddenly turned erratic, firing at empty space while Grace's squadron slipped through their coverage. Within minutes, the communication array was destroyed and Proxima Station was cut off from the rest of the Council fleet. Colonel Diana Foster led the ground assault on the station's command center. Diana commanded a force of human marines supported by warriors from 6 different rebel species. They had trained together for months, learning to coordinate their different fighting styles and abilities into an unstoppable combined force. Breach and clear, Diana ordered as her teams blasted through the station's main hull. The Council, garrison fought desperately, but they had never faced an enemy that combined human determination with alien capabilities they couldn't predict or counter. The battle for Proxima Station lasted only 4 hours. When it ended, the Council had lost their most important military base and over 50 ships. More importantly, the rebels had captured detailed records of Council fleet movements and defensive positions throughout their territory. Admiral Kate Sullivan reviewed the captured intelligence from her command center on Earth. The information was staggering in scope. The Council controlled thousands of ships and hundreds of military installations, but their forces were spread thin across the galaxy trying to contain dozens of rebellions. They're making the classic mistake, Kate explained to the Alliance leadership during their emergency strategy meeting. They're trying to hold everything at once instead of concentrating their forces. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had been promoted again to serve as Earth's representative to the Galactic Liberation Council, the governing body of the rebellion. She worked closely with Zarath and leaders from 34 different species to coordinate their war effort. The Council's core worlds are starting to panic, Maya reported. Zarath's contacts inside the government say some members want to negotiate a ceasefire. Zarath nodded from her seat at the council table. The former council ambassador had become one of the rebellion's most valuable leaders, using her knowledge of council politics and military doctrine to predict their enemies' moves. The moderates are gaining influence, Zarath confirmed. But the hardliners led by Supreme Commander Thakvar want to use planet-killer weapons against rebel worlds. They believe only total destruction will end the uprising. This news sent shockwaves through the Alliance. Planet-killer weapons were the ultimate terror device, capable of cracking a world's crust and making it uninhabitable for centuries. The Council had used them sparingly in the past, but always as a last resort. Captain Lisa Morgan had been appointed as overall military commander for the Alliance fleet. She now coordinated operations across multiple star sectors from her flagship, a massive vessel built using technology from 8 different species. If they're willing to destroy entire worlds, then we need to end this war quickly, Lisa told her senior staff. We need to strike at the Council's capital system before they can deploy those weapons. The Council's capital was located in the Arcturus system, home to over 40 billion beings from the founding species of the galactic government. It was the most heavily defended location in known space, surrounded by automated defense platforms and patrolled by the Council's elite. Guard fleets! It's suicide, protested General Rose Martinez. Even with our entire fleet, we don't have enough ships to break through their defenses. Professor Helen Chang had been working on a solution to this problem for weeks. Her research team, now including scientists from 12 different species, had developed something unprecedented, a weapon that could disable the Council's automated defenses without destroying the planets they protected. We call it the Liberation Pulse, Helen explained to the gathered commanders. It sends out a signal that convinces the Council's machines that the war is over, and their masters have ordered them to stand down. The plan was incredibly risky. The Alliance would have to get close enough to the capital system to deploy the Liberation Pulse, which meant fighting through layer after layer of Council defenses. If the weapon failed, the rebel fleet would be trapped and destroyed. Lieutenant Grace Parker had been promoted to captain and given command of the Alliance's elite strike force. Her job was to escort the Liberation Pulse device to its deployment point while the main fleet engaged the Council's defending forces. All fighters, this is Grace Parker. she broadcast to the 300 pilots from 20 different species who flew under her command. Today we end this war. Stay tight, trust your training, and remember what we're fighting for. The battle for Arcturus began when Virulin used her psychic abilities to coordinate a simultaneous attack from 12 different directions. Council forces found themselves under assault by enemies who seemed to anticipate their every move and counter every defensive strategy. Captain Amy Thompson led the main assault force, her ships diving through the Council's defensive lines like a sword cutting through armor. The hybrid vessels built by the Alliance proved superior to anything in the Council's fleet, combining the best innovations from dozens of different civilizations. Colonel Diana Foster's Marines boarded and captured 3 Council command ships, using their enemy's own vessels to attack the remaining defenders. The sight of Council ships firing on their own forces caused confusion and panic throughout the defending fleet. As the battle raged, Grace Parker's strike force fought its way toward the deployment point for the Liberation Pulse. The device had to be activated at exactly the right position to affect all the automated defenses simultaneously. "Almost there," Grace reported as her fighters engaged the Council's elite guard squadrons. 30 seconds to deployment. The final moment came when Captain Lisa Morgan gave the order to activate the Liberation Pulse. Across the Arcturus system, thousands of automated weapons platforms and defense satellites suddenly went silent. The Council's most powerful defenses simply turned off, leaving their capital world defenseless for the first time in galactic history. But the rebellion's leaders knew that winning the battle was only the beginning. Now they had to prove they could build something better than what they had destroyed. President Claire Watson stood before the assembled representatives of 200 worlds in what had once been the Council's great chamber on Arcturus Prime. 6 months had passed since the liberation of the capital system, and today the galaxy would decide its future. Claire had been elected to lead Earth during the darkest days of the war, and now she had the honor of proposing a new form of galactic government. The old council chamber had been redesigned to accommodate representatives from dozens of different species. Where once only the ruling elite had met in secret, now delegates from every world sat together as equals. Aquatic tanks allowed Naya's people to participate, while environmental suits enabled species that breathed different atmospheres to join the discussions. "Citizens of the galaxy," Claire began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "We gather today not as conquerors, but as liberators. The old council ruled through fear and oppression. We choose to build something based on cooperation and mutual respect." Elder Thyra sat in the front row, her ancient eyes watching the proceedings with deep satisfaction. Thyra belonged to one of the galaxy's oldest species, beings who had witnessed the council's original formation over 1,000 years ago. She was the only survivor who remembered when the council had truly served the cause of peace. The founders never intended for the council to become a tyrannical empire, Thyra had explained to the Alliance leadership weeks earlier. They created it to mediate disputes between worlds and coordinate responses to genuine threats. Somewhere along the way, power corrupted their noble intentions. Captain Lisa Morgan had been instrumental in locating Elder Thyra on her hidden world in the galaxy's outer rim. Thyra's testimony about the Council's original charter had provided the legal foundation for the new government they were creating. Ambassador Zarath rose from her seat to address the assembly. The former Council diplomat had become one of the most respected voices in the liberation movement, her transformation from enemy to ally inspiring beings across the galaxy. "I served the corrupt Council for 3 centuries, Zarath said, her musical voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I participated in the subjugation of 47 worlds because I believed we were bringing order to chaos. I was wrong. True order cannot be built on the suffering of others." Dr. Maya Rodriguez had worked for months with representatives from every member world to draft the new Galactic Charter. The document established principles that would have been impossible under the old system: democratic representation, protection of minority rights, and the absolute prohibition of forced membership in the galactic community. "No world will ever again be forced to join against its will," Maya announced as she presented the charter to the assembly. "Membership in the Galactic Federation will be voluntary, and any world may withdraw if its people choose to do so." Vote on the new charter was unanimous. Even former council loyalists who had opposed the rebellion voted in favor of the new system. The galaxy had learned that governments ruling through fear eventually face revolution, while those built on consent can last for millennia. Admiral Kate Sullivan addressed the Assembly's concerns about security in the post-Council galaxy. Many worlds worried that without the Council's military power, pirates and raiders would threaten peaceful civilizations. The Federation Defense Force will be completely different from the Council's military, Kate explained. Every member world will contribute ships and personnel, but no single species will control the fleet. Our mission is defense, not conquest. Captain Amy Thompson had been chosen to lead the new Federation's exploration division. Her mixed-species crews would seek out new civilizations and invite them to join the galactic community as equals, not subjects. We've learned that diversity makes us stronger, Amy told the Assembly. The rebellion succeeded because humans, aquatics, Etherians, and dozens of other species combined their unique strengths. The Federation will continue that tradition. Professor Helen Chang presented the technology-sharing agreements that would accelerate development across all member worlds. Under the old Council, advanced technology was restricted to the ruling species. The Federation would make all scientific knowledge available to every member civilization. Within a generation, worlds that were kept primitive by Council policy will have access to faster-than-light travel, advanced medicine, and clean energy, Helen explained. We will lift up every member of our galactic family. Grace Parker had become the Federation's youngest starship captain at age 28. She commanded a vessel crewed by beings from 15 different worlds, serving as a symbol of the new era of cooperation. Her ship's mission was to patrol the galaxy's outer regions, protecting remote worlds from the raiders and pirates who had emerged in the chaos following the Council's collapse. Some people think humans caused this war, Grace said during her speech to the Assembly. They're wrong. The war was inevitable the moment the Council chose oppression over justice. Humans just lit the fuse that had been waiting to explode for centuries. Colonel Diana Foster led the peacekeeping forces that were helping former Council worlds transition to democratic governments. Many planets needed assistance establishing fair elections and protecting minority rights after centuries of authoritarian rule. Freedom isn't just the absence of oppression, Diana explained to newly liberated worlds. It's the presence of justice, opportunity, and hope for a better future. Vera Lynn had become the Federation's first director of psychic affairs, helping to establish ethical guidelines for the use of mental abilities in government and commerce. Her people's persecution under the Council had made her a strong advocate for protecting all sentient beings from discrimination. The Council feared our abilities because they knew their rule was unjust, Vera Lynn told the Assembly. They were right to be afraid. Truth has a way of exposing lies, and justice eventually overcomes oppression. The final speaker was Lyrian, the insectoid engineer whose defection had made Earth's initial victory possible. She represented the billions of former Council servants who had been forced to participate in their oppressors' crimes. I helped build the ships that conquered my own people, Lyrian said, her compound eyes reflecting the chamber's lights. I told myself I had no choice, that resistance was impossible. The humans taught me that there is always a choice, even when the odds seem hopeless. As the Assembly concluded its work, President Claire Watson signed the Federation Charter alongside representatives from every member world. The document established the most democratic government in galactic history, with protections for individual rights that surpassed anything previously imagined. Captain Lisa Morgan watched the signing ceremony from her place in the gallery. The military officer who had stood against the First Council ultimatum was now preparing to retire from active service. She had achieved something that military leaders throughout history could only dream of. She had won a war that truly brought peace. 3 years later, Lisa stood on the observation deck of Federation Station, the new galactic capital built in neutral space between Earth and Arcturus. Through the windows, she could see ships from hundreds of different worlds docking at the massive station. Beings who had once been enemies now worked together as friends and colleagues. Zarath joined her at the window, the two women having become close friends despite their species' initial conflict. The former enemies now served together on the Federation Council, helping to guide the galaxy toward a brighter future. Do you ever regret starting this war? Zarath asked. Lisa smiled as she watched a group of children from 6 different species playing together in the station's park. This wasn't a war, Zarath. It was a liberation. And no, I don't regret it for a second. The galaxy had learned that even the most powerful tyranny could fall when ordinary beings decided they would rather die free than live as slaves. The Council's greatest mistake had been underestimating the power of hope, the strength that comes from unity, and the determination of species who refused to surrender their dreams of freedom. Earth had lit the spark, but the fire of liberty had spread across the stars. Now it would burn forever, ensuring that no future tyrant could ever again subjugate the galaxy to their will.